Hey friends, welcome to Rhubarb Patch Studio. I'm Leah Noel. Thanks for joining me today. This is going to be kind of a long video because I have a lot of stitching updates for you. I missed a video in June because, I went to StitchCon, which was awesome. And so, and then, once I got home from StitchCon, I had to bring my son, I got to bring my son to a 2-week long art camp. And that was every day. So it was just a lot of time in the car and not a lot of time for, making a Flosstube video. But I am here now. I'm here today. I'm still in this spot with backlighting, which is not great, but we're just going to do it. So this video is going to be kind of pieced together a little bit because I thought that I was going to be able to talk about StitchCon and then reset and give you a regular whip update, but there's just too much to talk about with StitchCon that I just thought this would be better as its own video. That way people who are researching for future years or who just want to hear what it was like, what I did, what I saw, who I talked to, what I brought, what I prepped, like how did I prep, that kind of thing. Like this is all just going to be contained in one video. And then and I've actually already filmed that part of the video, and I totally forgot to show what I actually stitched on, which is crazy. I was just talking about everything else. So I'm gonna piece it all together and hopefully it'll kind of make sense. But after this video, I'll also post a regular whip update so that if you were at StitchCon, you just want to like skip it and watch my regular whip update, like you can do that. I'm going to show everything that I worked on at StitchCon in my regular whip update in the next video. And if you're just not interested in StitchCon, you can skip this video. I mean, you're free to do what you want to do. And yeah, so just generally, I want this video to be a resource for you if you're looking at going to StitchCon and you want to kind of get a start on how to think about planning for it, prepping for it, what to expect when you get there, that kind of stuff. So it's not going to be totally comprehensive, but I do cover a lot here. So yeah, let's get into it. So the StitchCon team was amazing. I just want to say they put on an incredible event, and it was so nice to chat with them. They made their rounds around the room. Barbara, the owner of Keepsakes, was there at registration, and we got to chat with her one-on-one, and she's really great to chat with. She's genuinely interested in the people she's talking to, and it just makes you feel, just welcome and yeah, just really, it was a really special time. And let's see, just the whole staff kind of makes their rounds around the room, and it doesn't feel forced. It feels like they're stitchers too, and they're enjoying this event too. And they're just trying to meet people too. And yeah, they just did an incredible job, and I'm so thankful for the work that they put into the event. All right, so StitchCon was great. It was so great. I went to weekend B, and I really don't think it matters what weekend you go to, honestly. Some people will say StitchCon A is better, some say StitchCon B is better, but they're both great. They're both amazing, and you're gonna be with amazing people both weeks. I went to StitchCon once before in 2021. Was it 20? Yes, it was 2021. And that was a great experience. And I didn't go back until this year, 2024. This year, I brought my sister, who is a brand new stitcher and doesn't even watch Flosstube, doesn't, you know, wasn't super familiar with all of the stitching terminology, just the stitching culture, but she's a really fast learner, and she picked up a whole bunch before we left, and then when we got there, you know, just fit in totally fine. When you get to StitchCon, StitchCon starts on Thursday and runs through Sunday, both weekends. And my sister and I decided to drive because there were two of us, so we could split up the driving load. And for us, it was like an 11-hour drive, maybe 12, because we made the mistake of driving through Chicago, and there was a whole bunch of construction, and it took an hour longer than we planned for. So on the way back, we just took the longer route and went around Chicago and had no problems. So we drove, and since we drove, we had the luxury of like taking whatever we wanted for the break table and stuff. And I actually did not bring any framed items because I moved recently, as you know, lots of you may know. I moved recently, and I'm not in I don't have a space really yet. We're working on that for my stitching stuff, so everything's packed away, and I had to kind of rummage for things that I could bring for the break table. StitchCon always has a break table, and I didn't get a video or even like comprehensive photos of the break table, but the break table is one of my favorite aspects of StitchCon. I mean, aside from connecting with other stitchers, which is amazing, but the break table is so great. And one of my favorite things to do is when I meet people, whether I know them or I just met them for the first time, I really like to ask them, did you bring anything for the break table? And we can go over and look at their stitching together, like in person. That's one of my most favorite things to do. So don't skip out on the break table items. Bring at least one thing, because it doesn't matter what you know, if you're confident about it or not. I mean, people will really like to see what you work on. So just a little encouragement there. Bring some break table items. So where was I going with that? This is totally unscripted, you guys. It's been a month since I was there, so I'm trying to like dig for those memories. Okay. So because we drove, we could bring whatever we wanted. I didn't bring any framed items, but I did bring some stuff. So let me just, since we're talking about the break table, this is what I did. And this is gonna work really well if you're flying. I got a pillowcase, just an unused pillowcase, 100% cotton. Not that that really matters, but I don't know, cotton is so breathable and whatever. Anyway, I got a pillowcase, and I went through my, I have this tote full of finished pieces. My husband actually calls it my projects in purgatory, my pips, projects in purgatory, because they are finished but not fully finished, and who knows when or if they ever will get finished. Some people call it the bin of shame, but I don't call it that, or the under the bed box, the UBB. Okay, so I went through that bin and I kind of decided, okay, what do I want to bring that has been finished between now and the last time I went to StitchCon, and I selected a few of my favorites. And I took them out and I ironed them, and then I made a roll. I rolled them up. So I'll unroll it here so you can see what I did. I took a dishcloth. So this is just a cotton dishcloth. There's a name for this kind of towel, but it's a drying towel. It's like a drying towel, so it's really thin, but it's just cotton white. And I rolled it up so that my roll would have a center. And then I just layered all of my projects that I took, and I rolled it up and put it in the pillowcase, and it was totally fine. I put it in my luggage and it didn't get too smushed. It was great. It worked great. So here is what I brought. My friend Amy Loves Toads was there, and she and I have two projects that we are sort of stitching together. Wilbur, which is something that actually a lot of people are stitching on, but we wanted to get together and take a picture of us holding the same whips. And then Arc of White, which is here. So I brought those. So what did I bring for the brag table? I brought my old StitchCon finish. This is this is from the 2021 booklet, and it was a chart in there. Is actually a mashup of two charts. This one's by the Blue Flower, and this cicada is from Sue Hillis. So I brought that for the brag table. I brought my Stonehouse Stitchworks MLK sampler finish. I brought, oh shoot, I call this Sleeping Bunny, and I think it's called Aprile Dolce Dormire. I think it's like April Sweet Nap. I don't know. By Madame Chantilly. The name and designer will be down below in the description. So I brought that finish because nobody had seen that in person. Okay, got a little shadow there. And I brought this big one, which is the Peace on Earth sampler. There we go. Peace on Earth sampler. All right, and how did I choose what to bring for the brag table? I only brought projects that I had made some kind of customization or modified somehow, because I feel like that's what a lot of people watch my channel for, and it's one of my favorite things to do, to modify, to modify my stitching and or modify designs to suit my tastes. And so I felt like those were the most appropriate things to take. Now, if you don't have a Flosstube channel, and you don't know like what do people like your stitching for, then just bring your favorites. I mean, just bring your favorites, and it doesn't matter if it's been finished for a few years or if it's a recent finish. It really doesn't matter. Just bring your favorite stuff. But that's just what I used because I didn't know what to bring. So that was just the ruler that I gave myself, is just what would people maybe like to see in person that I feel doesn't always come through on camera, you know, on either Flosstube or Instagram. So I brought those. All right, I wanted to show you the whips that I brought to StitchCon, how I decided what whips to bring on to stitch while I was there. So I looked for whips that I can travel with, number one. So whips that don't need a whole lot of, I don't know, space or materials or excellent lighting or a magnifier or any of that, because I just knew that it wasn't going to be super practical while I was there. So I did bring a small stitching light, and I don't know where it went, but it's just this like tiny little light that kind of folds up, and it's very bright. I actually didn't end up using it. I let my sister use it, I think, but I don't think she used it a whole lot either. Anyways, so I looked for projects that were portable, like easily portable, easily stitched, didn't need a lot of great lighting. And I also brought projects that had fill-in, like just, you know, it was just ready to go, just sit down and fill it in, just fill it in. And you can just mindlessly not have to count, not have to really look at what you're doing. You could just sit and fill in. And that really came in handy to me the first time I went to StitchCon. I brought a project that it was just all fill in, and that's all I did. I just sat there by my, you know, just sat there kind of taking everything in and just stitching that way. I also brought some projects that needed bobbinating, because sometimes, like, if your brain is just scattered and you just want something totally mindless, like you can't mess it up, you just bring stuff to bobbinate if you're a bobbinator, or, you know, you can bring floss drops if you're a floss drop person. But anyway, just like that kind of stuff. I also brought like a couple fabrics in case I found something like randomly, like if I found a design that I wanted to start then and there, I would have like a good fabric to bring to stitch on. But you know what? I wouldn't recommend doing that. That was just a waste of space. And so I'm looking over here. I'm going to show you what projects I brought and what I actually stitched on. So I brought, here's one thing I brought. This is Holly by Not Forgotten Farm. I have this dress silhouette all like ready to go, so I could just fill it in while I was sitting there. And I did not touch this. It just wasn't, it was hot, and that's a winter project, and it just didn't call to me, so I didn't even take it out. So yeah, these fabrics that I brought, like, they just, like I said, they were okay. I brought a pattern of something that I'm starting soon, so that if I were to find materials, or if I needed materials, I could pick them up while I was there. Okay, so that's something that you can look for. You know, do you need to kit anything up? I brought this Quaker House sampler by Carriage House Samplings. I am doing this one, and, you know, just very simple. Like, there's only 3 colors in this design, and so I thought this would be easy to work on, because there's not a lot of color changing, but there is a lot of counting. So if I just wanted something that was more almost monochromatic, I could have that option. I did not end up using that project at all. let's see, this one, I also brought my, I brought it over here because, okay, sorry. I brought Autumn at Hawkrun Hollow because I'm on one of these blocks and I have it all like outlined, ready to fill in. And this is another one where I didn't even bring it out because the thought of fill-in was too boring, like for me at that point. I felt comfortable enough where I just really wanted something to stitch and I wanted to be engaged. So none of those worked for me. I also brought my Bargello sampler. Now this, I do need to keep on a Q-snap. And since I drove, I was able to bring my Q-snaps. So I did stitch on this because it is mindless enough where it feels like fill-in stitching, but it's not. It's more interesting. You do have to kind of like pay attention, but I don't know, you just don't have to think a whole lot about it. So while I was at StitchCon, I don't know if I might have finished up this block and started here, but I'm not sure. I know for sure I worked on this block while I was there. So that is something that I did work on for the first day. And then after that, I got tired of that and I switched to Portuguese bird sampler, which is this one. This is my current travel project. If I know I'm going somewhere and I can just sit and stitch. I don't really need good lighting, but I do need to be like, I can't be a passenger in the car or something. I have to be like sitting. And I got a ton of progress on this while I was at StitchCon. Okay, I had to find my clips here so I could hold this up for you. So I stitched on this while I was at StitchCon and I got a ton of work done because I mostly just, I stitch on this for the majority of the time. I did the Bargello sampler for the first day and then for Friday, Saturday, and I don't think I stitched on Sunday, but all day Friday, all day Saturday I stitched on this because I do it in hand and I had some fill-in to do. So I finished all the fill-in in the bird. I finished the tree trunk. I finished filling in the leaf. I finished filling in the flower. Maybe it was this leaf I finished filling in the flower. And while I was there, I had a color consult with my friends at the table about which colors to do. I think in this part, I don't know if I finished this while I was at StitchCon, but I did work on this part. I think I finished the horse here on this side, and I might have started on this border. I might have done that later though. I've worked on this since StitchCon, so that's why I'm like, oh, I don't know. But I worked on this a ton and I got a lot of progress, a lot of work, and I really love how it's turning out. So yeah, so the thing is about like what to bring, you just never know what you're gonna be in the mood to stitch when you get to StitchCon, because you don't know if you're just gonna be like socially overwhelmed, not really in a bad way, but just like if you're an introvert like me and you're in a room full of strangers, that can be a little bit overwhelming. Even though like, I don't know, I felt safe, you know, like I felt safe, but I'm not an outgoing person, and I just really, I don't know how to meet people, I guess. I don't know. Anyway, you just never know what you're going to be in the mood to stitch when you get there. So the trick is you don't want to bring too much, but you just want to do yourself a solid by picking stuff that you know that you'll stitch on. Like, you know, you can stitch on it. And like the fill-in, I knew that even if I wasn't in the mood to stitch, like I could sit there and I could fill it in, or I could like wind bobbins or something. Like, yeah, I was set. And I knew I could also just buy a whole project and kit it up there, because there was the annex and the store. You could go to the store. There were just so many options. So yeah, there's that. So, okay, so StitchCon is really mostly a social event, right? It's 300 people, 300 stitchers who all share a passion for needlework. And there's some new stitchers, and there's old, experienced stitchers. There's beginner stitchers and advanced stitchers. There are young stitchers and old stitchers, and everyone just gets along. And tables are set up in I think 6. There's 6 chairs per table. And this year they had, and they might have done this previous years that I wasn't there, but this year they had these flags that you could go and bring to your table. If you had an open spot, you could put a flag on that chair saying, hey, it's available, come sit here. And that way it just kind of alleviates the need for people who don't know anyone or who didn't go with anyone to find one of those spots and just claim it without having to say, is anyone stitching here, or can I sit here please, or someone please let me sit there, because that could be a little awkward. But our table, let's see, I sat with my sister, and then Amy from Amy Loves Toads, Amy's friend Becky was there, and then Colette the Highway Stitcher, and Candace she has a Flosstube, Candace K. And so that was our table of 6, and it was so much fun. I feel like we were kind of the quiet stitcher table. We would just sometimes sit there and stitch and just kind of just enjoy each other's company, but not really, we just weren't very rowdy. We got to know each other a lot better. It was nice to spend some time with all of those people and get to know them a little bit better. What to say other than that? People would come around. It's mostly unstructured. StitchCon is mostly unstructured, so like there are some events, but they're all optional. Like you don't ever have to be at an event, and there's no classes or anything. So some of the events are a Smalls Exchange, which I did not participate in this year. But the Smalls Exchange is basically where you stitch a small item and you finish it, you FFO it, and you package it, and you put it on a table, and you draw a number, and then somebody on the StitchCon team will call like a range of numbers, and those people go up to the table where all of the gifts are, and they choose one random gift, and that's their gift, and you don't take your own. And some of the all of the items on those tables were really really special. I'm sure other people will show you on their Flosstubes if you watch other StitchCon recaps. Okay, so also there is an annex, a shopping annex at the convention center, And in the annex are a whole bunch of trunk shows. You can see models like of new releases and sometimes new designers, and you can buy things, and it's great. It's nice. This year I didn't spend as much time in the annex as I wanted to. It was often very crowded and I just was not into the crowds this year. And also I kind of have analysis paralysis when it comes to buying new things. So the only two things that I purchased in the annex were 2 pieces of fabric. So I will show you those. This is a fat quarter of cobblestone by Atomic Ranch Fabrics. And this is my first time buying Atomic Ranch Fabrics. I hadn't seen their fabric before, but this is just really pretty neutral. And this is my kind of neutral, where it's like gray, but also like slightly green, slightly blue, slightly yellow. It's just really beautiful. I got this with a design in mind, which I will show you later. So I bought that piece of fabric in the annex, and then I also bought Misty Mountain, a fat quarter of Misty Mountain by Grace Notes Fabric. Also new to me, design or a fabric dyer. And this I just bought because I couldn't walk away from it. It is a beautiful, both of these are kind of blown out in the video today because my lighting is not great, but it's like a almost a hot cocoa brown with splotchy, creamy modeling. It's kind of a purpley brown. It's kind of a purpley brown gray. It's kind of a purpley brownish gray. It's the best way to describe it right now. So I just got this because I just really love that color. I think it'll be a great neutral for me for some of my nature pieces that I am considering starting. Okay, so that's all I bought in the annex, and I wish I had had a little bit more time to think clearly while I was there. One of the trunk shows that I really enjoyed seeing in person was My Sister Samplers. And the designers, who are sisters, were there at my weekend, and so I got to meet them, and I didn't get to know them at all, but I wish I had more time with them as well. I think that they seem like really interesting ladies, and their samplers are beautiful, and they had floss packs there for their samplers. And so I think my plan going forward is I really need to think about what pattern I would like to stitch of theirs, and I would like to stitch it in silks, and I think I will probably order that through Keepsakes since I found it at the Keepsakes annex. My sister's samplers, one of the sisters actually has a Flosstube, and I believe it's Stitching in My Pajamas or something like that, but it will be linked below. She has a handful of videos, not a lot, but very interesting Flosstube channel to watch. I highly recommend that you go over there and subscribe to her, because just very interesting, and she shows some sneak peeks to designs that they come out with. And so that was fun. Gosh, I met so many people, and everybody is so kind. This year at StitchCon, they had a station where you could try stitching on different counts and different types of fabric. If you have never done that and you don't know if you would like it, like when you're just starting out, when you're just starting to branch out. So anyway, I brought my sister over there because she's only ever stitched on Ada. She's only stitching her second ever project. And I would, you know, tell everybody who visited our table and stopped to see what she was working on, I would always say, that's her second project ever. And everyone would be so nice to her. So anyway, I brought her over there to learn how to stitch and on linen and even weave, and she did great. So I can see that in her future. You know, I mean, just as an introvert, like I'm just such an introvert. If you were to invite me to a party full of 300 people that I don't know, I would say thanks for the invite, but no thank you. But StitchCon is one of those events where you know everybody is a stitcher, so you know you have something interesting in common, because stitching is so interesting. And so, you know, anytime, you know, if I got an invite to a party full of 300 stitchers, I would go every time. I would go every time. So yeah, if you're on the fence about it, or you don't know what to expect, I would just say, go for it. Go for it. It'll be worth it. It'll be worth it. Okay, just really quick, I'll show you what I purchased at Keepsakes when I went. What will I show you? A gift? Do I have? No. I'm not going to show you any gifts that I got at StitchCon because there's so many. This is a thing about StitchCon, is some people make 300 items to give away so that everybody has one item. Actually, so I guess I will show you this, but this is actually a needle minder. It's a cicada needle minder. And Amy found this table and this needle minder. Some stitchers were giving them away, and she put it on her shirt and wore it like a brooch. And so our several people at our table did that. So I'm just doing that now, just to be fun. But yeah, people will just bring gifts for everybody. I can't do that. I didn't have the capacity for that this year, but I did bring gifts for my table mates. Not everybody does, and that's okay. Some people bring snacks to share, candy. Some people bring needle minders, stickers, floss drops, bling, like what are those? Scissor fobs, that you can also put on project bags. I'll show you what I brought. So I reached out to my friend Christina, who is quilting with Nico, and I love her Ort catchers so much. So I sent her 3 fabrics, and these are the 3 fabrics. So I had this one, and this one, which was just pretty woodsy. So I just let people pick whichever design they liked the best, and that was my gift for my table mates. And yeah, I don't know what else to say. I told you a lot. Yeah, those are the table gifts and just the general gifts. People are so generous. Man, yeah, people are so generous. The StitchCon team puts together this booklet, and there is an itinerary in here. There are like it's a page of just information about the event, what to expect, what are the, what the policies are. There is an itinerary, so all of these days, I said that there's no organized events, and that's true, but these are like, you can check in at the hotel at the Hyatt at 3 p.m. on Thursday, like just information like that if you're staying at the Hyatt. There's a late night stitching room, which we went to, and that was so fun. I love to go to the late night stitch room because that's where you meet people in a smaller environment that you might not be sitting next to. What else? Sometimes there's this year there's only one design in here. There's only one design in here from Sue Hillis. That's very cute. In 2021, there were like a lot of designs in this passport, and that's where my finish came from that I showed you previously. Okay. There's a freebie table, and that's something that you can contribute to and that you can take from, and it's okay, like, just if you like it, just take it, and that's just kind of, nobody's sitting there judging anybody for taking stuff from the freebie table. So here is my working copy of something I picked up at the freebie table that is going to be a stitch along. This is just a really old chart by Cross My Heart called Animal Welcomes, and several of us from our table are going to be stitching this frog. It's getting blown out there, but it's so cute. Little frog with lily pads and bugs on the water. Very cute. So that is the design, I'll do that later, that I got this fabric for. But actually, since coming home, I placed an order for a Be Stitch Me fabric that I might like better for that design. So I'm gonna have to see what that fabric looks like when it comes in and make a decision then. But we're gonna start that on August 31st. Okay, so last thing to tell you about StitchCon is what I purchased at Keepsakes. And so part of my StitchCon prep was going through my supply, my supplies that I need, and just figuring out what do I need. That way I can buy them when I'm there in person. And I really don't need a lot, but I knew I needed this Weeks Dye Works angel hair for an upcoming start that I'm doing with my friend Megan, Wide-Eyed Stitcher. And this is going to be a goose egg color. So yeah, I'll show you that more in depth when I actually stitch. And the other, let's see, I knew I wanted to buy these because they are designs of the Keepsakes store. So this is by Sue Hillis Designs. It's called Your Favorite Needlework Shop. And this also has some companion charts that you can buy. They come in packs of 3, so you would have to buy 4 packs of 3 to stitch all of these, or you can pick and choose your favorite packs of 3, and then stitch them underneath this chart. So then it'd be like 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, like that. And I really like the way that looks, but I don't have any personal connection to these smaller blocks, so I think I'm just gonna stick with this, and I'll probably modify like what's going on here. I'm not sure. That's a decision for future Leah. And then this is the other one that is of the Keepsake store. This is called Lebanon House Sampler by Rosewood Manor. Sorry, I always think this is really pretty. I don't think I'll stitch this top part. And I probably won't stitch these words either. I'll probably bump this row of flowers down here. But I wanted to get those at Keepsakes while I was there. And then while I was in Keepsakes, you know, there's models all over the place, which I love. And these caught my eye, and I just decided, you know what, I'm gonna get them. They are by Little Leaf Designs, which is actually Elizabeth's designs. And I really love, I have a good collection of her cottages, like of her houses. So here's the oak leaves and acorns. It's got two little squirrels, so cute. And I got this one also, which is Wisteria Cottage. A little door with a little cat. Look at that, the wisteria vine around. Love it. And I really like Elizabeth's designs because they use a lot of specialty stitches. Oh, so cute. And these are small, and I thought, you know what, I need more smalls in my life. So, okay. Wow, that was a lot. So I hope that this StitchCon update was useful to you. I think I'm gonna reset here and then show you the rest of my stitching stuff.